At school, I didn't really kind of think about it. I kind of considered myself a straight man who sometimes fancied guys, but just never really admitted it to myself because the whole gay thing was just for weird people, and that's what I'd always known. So I didn't really talk about it or even think about it at school.
But then when I got my girlfriend in my last year of school, I had a bit of a crisis.
At sixth form, it was a lot easier, even though I didn't really make a fuss about it. You still got a little bit of dodgy comments, but it was definitely a lot easier going to a separate sixth form than it was at school.
It took years, in all honesty, for me to come to terms with my sexuality, to be able to make a decision, which was painful.
Essentially, I sort of hid myself away whilst sort of coming to terms with it.
I went to a Catholic high school, and it wasn't really anti-gay, but it wasn't really an option. Like, it wasn't presented. I didn't know anybody under about 40 who was gay, so it was kind of slow. When I went to undergrad, then I met more people who were gay, who were actually students like me, and it occurred to me that people my age could actually be gay.
I didn't come out as such until my mid to late 20s. I knew as a teenager that I wasn't straight, but I didn't have a grand coming out. I didn't really do much about it until after my undergraduate degree, and then I realised that I wasn't happy and that I actually needed to be honest to myself and to the people around me.
Probably where I am now, some 20 some years later, is that I still tell people quite quickly, and I still tell a lot of people, but I guess I'm more at ease with that. I can do that a bit more gently.
At university, in my first week of university, I came out to all my housemates because we just sat around a table and talked about who had a girlfriend and who had a boyfriend. And I had a girlfriend, so I just said that, and no one batted an eyelid. Everyone was fine with it.
It's generally just bring it up when the topic comes up in conversation, really.
And my dad, I remember, was absolutely fantastic. He actually told me that he was hugely relieved that was what I was telling him, and he'd actually been petrified I was going to tell him I was pregnant, and he was actually really pleased that I wasn't.
Coming out was probably the most important thing in my life, really, because it defines who I am. And it makes me feel completely authentic about myself and completely at home with myself. And I think I'd spent a long time, I'd probably spent 18 years of my early life not feeling comfortable with myself.
I left it quite a long time before coming out. I think I was in my early to mid-20s, and I've never really regretted that. I think it's important to do that when you're comfortable and you feel that the environment you're in is right.
So the city of Sheffield in general has helped me, mainly because I've lived here my whole life. I was born here, and I've sort of grown up with Sheffield. I've seen it become a lot more multicultural, a lot more open and friendly, which is something it's quite well known for now. I'll be honest, I didn't really feel that when I was younger. It felt a little bit like a prison, but it's just so open now, open and friendly and accepting. It feels like home.
It doesn't seem to faze people, so I'm completely out, and tell people if I'm going out on dates or whatever. So heterosexuals can talk about boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, and I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be able to talk about those things in the same manner, and no one seems to mind it, and they appreciate the honesty.
It's not about spectacular things, it's not about sort of anything extraordinary happening, it's just about day-to-day acceptance and respect. But I've never found that a problem here at Sheffield.
Sheffield as a place is just so accepting. I've walked down West Street and held another guy's hand and felt very, very confident to do that.
I got involved with the LGBT committee during my first year, and it was a really good way to just meet like-minded people. I think that's the one thing that has helped me the most, just meeting people who are similar to me.
I think the university has been really helpful. I was a member of the LGBT when I was a student, and I found them to be very friendly, very supportive. I went along to the meetings, found out more about what was going on in the university, what was going on in the city.
And Sheffield's just a great place to discover, and being gay in Sheffield, it hasn't got the biggest scene, but it means that you get to know people, you get to know them really well, which is good when you're young and gay.
If you're feeling isolated and questioning your sexuality, I would say really, the first and important thing to do is to find those networks which are out there, through helplines or chat lines and so on, because it's absolutely crucial. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community becomes your extended family.
What would I have missed by not coming out? Everything. I wouldn't have the friends that I have, my family, my non-blood family. I wouldn't have the relationship that I have now. I wouldn't be happy.
Since that time, I've realised that there's lots of ways which I'm different to people, and one of the things that I value about the experience of coming out is that it's enabled me to celebrate being different as opposed to be ashamed of being different.
If I was to go back to school and tell myself one thing, I'd say don't come out until university, come to Sheffield and don't take your anger out on other people.
People might have a problem with it, they might not care, they might shout names at you, but at the end of the day, they're people who won't be in your life forever, and the only person that is in your life forever is you, so as long as you're happy, nothing else matters.
Don't make assumptions about how people will react, because often people surprise you.
That you're not alone, that there are a whole bunch of other people who are just like you, people who go on and become engineers and department heads, and people who do things you'd like to be able to do and people you'd look up to.
So be brave, be courageous, do it. It does get better.